Transcontinental race, number 11. What's changed? I'd say those are the most impactful things I noticed in that presentation. Hopefully it doesn't affect how many people can go. My name's Andy, and I'm an ultra cyclist on a quest to be the best I possibly can be. I make videos about ultra training, kit, and adventures with a fresh upload every week. I've got a long road ahead of me, and I want to bring you along for the journey. Welcome to The Road Provides. Good morning friends, welcome back to the channel. And if you're into ultra cycling and related videos, hit that subscribe button. And today, feeling a little preoccupied. As you'll tell from the title of this video, last night the route for the TCR, the Transcontinental race, number 11, was published by Lost Art. So I sat on the live stream with a few hundred others, learning piece by piece the start point, the checkpoints, all the mandatory parkours, and the finish. Quite a lot of interesting changes for this edition, and interesting things they referenced, but not so new. But it's given me a lot to consider, and probably a few things can pick out from that you might want to consider as well, if you're considering entering the event, that is. So today, being Saturday, the live stream was last night. However, by the time you watch this, I'll have already published the live stream in its entirety. So you can watch it as we did, checkpoint by checkpoint, and then a live Q&A session towards the end, which is really helpful. But today, I'm out for a few hours, just endurance pace, 3-4 hours, so I can mull the whole thing over. I'll basically be thinking out loud, and I'll let you know my thoughts on the whole thing. On this particularly dreary winter's day in the south of England. I shouldn't complain too much. It could be raining. It's about 13 degrees Celsius at the moment, so I'm actually really hot. But it's that time of year. One day where we are, it might be sub-zero, -3. The next day, 13 degrees. Won't be that way for long, it's about to freeze, I'm sure. So I better not complain too much. I managed to jump on the back of a group on that descent, but I talked about mud guards recently. It's starting to get sprayed with crap, so I don't think so. Well, definitely overdressed a bit for this ride. A little bit sweaty. So, Transcontinental race, number 11. What's changed? Should you enter? Should I enter? Well, I think it's safe to say, based on what we know already, the landscape for the TCR has changed a lot. And not just geographically. There are quite a few key changes actually that were brought up, but I think 3 or 4 that are going to make a huge difference this year, which I'll go over. So while these are all really big changes, I'd say they're very positive. Just might have a bearing on who can enter. I'd say the first big change is the distance. This is, admittedly by Lost Art, most likely the longest edition ever. Certainly as the crow flies, from the start to the finish, it's definitely the longest. There's a lot of chatter right now on social media trying to lay out clearly All the checkpoints and the route options, everything we know at this point was given verbally in the live stream, which I screen captured, but essentially it's gone, I think, from Instagram. But judging by what we know so far, it's basically a horizontal line from north of Spain, through the Pyrenees, through the south of France, over the Tourmalet, into the Alps, turn south into Italy, and basically head through the Strada Bianca all the way down until we have to cross the Adriatic Sea. We'll need to cross the Adriatic by ferry. At the moment, they're saying any ferry. Across to Albania, and then from Albania, all the way across Romania, to the far side of Romania, essentially to the Black Sea. So far, based on what we know, plotting those in, probably expecting, once we know the full details and the coordinates of all the points, it's going to be somewhere between 4,500, 5,000 kilometers, somewhere like that. So that's a definite consideration. Depending on how many kilometers you think you can handle per day, that's going to extend your trip by several days potentially. I don't think it's necessarily going to put a ton of people off, but you might just have to get a bit creative with your work holiday allowance for a trip like that, especially if you're planning several other races that year. For me, I just need to have a think about how much I can realistically commit to next year and still have a life outside of these races. But to be honest, I don't really want to miss this. That's what we know so far. I'm sure Lost Dot will publish more pretty soon, including coordinates to plan it all out a bit better. But it's looking like a whopper. One thing I have noticed though is it does mean about 2/3 of the way in, got to get a ferry across the Adriatic. That's about 10 hours. That does mean a good 8-hour odd sleep about 2/3 of the way in. The next big change, Lost Dot have always been really good at trying to foster a diverse group on the start line of their events. They've done very well over the years, but this year they've got a pretty ambitious goal of getting 100 women onto the start line of this race. And if I'm right, it's basically doubling the number that have turned up in the past. Personally, I'm fully behind that. I'm sure I'm not the only one. By the time this goes out, I'll have put out a separate video already with a full presentation of what they're looking to offer to help achieve that goal. And it's quite a lot, so look back for that video if you haven't watched it. Prior to that presentation, I actually spent time with Esther putting together a podcast. One of the things I wanted to achieve with that was for Esther to hopefully inspire more women to get onto the start line of these events. So call it fortuitous timing, but if you're a female ultra rider, endurance rider, then there's a lot of help available to you right now to take on what is potentially one of the best ultra events ever. So watch the presentation, contact Lost Dot, contact Esther, and hopefully I'll see you on the start line if I get a place. And if you're not a female rider and you know one who might be interested, share this or share the Lost Dot publications. So that's a pretty big change to the landscape in terms of the split. Imagine a 50-50 split at that race. That'd be pretty cool. So far I've already seen some pretty big names have thrown their hat into the ring. Leo Wilcox is coming, so that is really cool. But this is a huge positive change. So that's quite a big one to talk about. Another big change for number 11, we've got quite a few people excited and shouting, is the introduction of a whole new category. There are already several categories you can race within for a result at the TCR. The main one being general classification, which is basically everybody. But then there is a separation, a green leaderboard for people that travel to and from in a green way. Women are recognised separately. That said, Fiona beat all the men a little while ago, and I think there are others. There is a new category, a points jersey. All of the categories so far have been around finishing the entire event as fast as possible. The points jersey is different. I think this will apply more to people out there for the adventure. All of the mandatory parcours will be timed. Points jersey will go, maybe it'll be a points leaderboard, I'm not sure, for placings. It'll go to the person that gets through all of the mandatory parcours fastest. It's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of people that are out just to have an adventure. They're going to be possibly a bit fresher through those sections. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think that category could get quite interesting. Seeing the GC leaders being beaten by just about anyone. Although they might win that too. One more little extra point Somebody asked in the Q&A about gravel parkours. Are these races going to get harder every year, more gravel, more gnarly? The response was actually, this time, there are 2 mandatory gravel sections, and one of them is Strada Bianca. So that says to me, it's shaping up to be potentially the longest, but maybe the fastest? Fastest by speed, I mean, not elapsed time. It's still almost 5,000k. I'd say those are the most impactful things I noticed in that presentation. Hopefully, you'll agree they're all positive, very positive changes. Hopefully it doesn't affect how many people can go based on the extra time they'll need off, plus the fact the start is quite far away from where it normally is. If you were at that presentation, you watched it, you picked up on anything that I haven't mentioned or noticed you think is important, add it to the comments for everyone else and for me. I've not got much of this ride left now, and I'm running a bit late. So, gonna get my skates on, get back to Pompey, because I'm supposed to be at a birthday party, and I'm out on my bike for a change. Let's go. In sunny Portsmouth. If not, a bit late. Let me know what you're thinking about the TCR as well. If you're thinking of entering, and what your thoughts are on the route. Confession time, I lost the video of the 100 TCR women presentation. While I was trying to get the video ready to share the presentation of the whole thing, I thought I'll keep that separate. I'll make a video specifically for that, to go out shortly after the podcast with Esther, to try to help them promote the initiative a bit better. I was tired at the weekend, had loads of screenshots and screen recordings, I'd never done that before. Had them all cluttered on my desktop and managed to delete everything. While I was riding home on this ride, I thought to myself, uh-oh. I was fairly sure I deleted everything and it's gone. Pretty annoyed with myself. I even tried contacting Lost Dot to see maybe they had a copy. I can try and do a video, but I didn't hear anything back, so it looks like that idea might be a no-go. However, watch the podcast with Esther. And I'm going to link below Josh Ibbert's video because he was there on the night. He spoke to Hannah, who gave the presentation, and she gave him a personal version of the same presentation. So if you watch the video in the description, you'll get a better overview of what's being offered anyway. And not only that, given the rough bullets I took from the presentation, I haven't looked at the route in detail as yet. Josh has already released a video going into the actual checkpoints in detail, videos from previous times he's ridden parts of the routes. So it's a good video worth watching anyway. But pretty annoyed with myself. Feel free to tell me I'm an absolute dork in the comments. I'll probably do a bit more to push that initiative anyway, because it's something that I think would be a really good thing for this race, and for the ultra community in general. So anyway, it is what it is. I tried to separate it to do a good thing, deleted it. Now I look like that middle-aged white guy who just got rid of the section about the 100 women. But yeah, I had good intentions. When I've had a bit more time to plan the route and everything, I'm sure there'll be more TCR related videos. Anyway, I hope you all have a good week, and I'll see you all in the next one.